Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com, Tuesday, July 26th, 2022. Here to do Fate's Warning, the next Fate's Warning album. Did previously Night on Brocken and The Spectre Within, which I'm not showing all my physical copies of everything. Maybe by the end I will, but I tried to just corral a lot of them together for this one. So, but this one is for Awaken the Guardian, their third album, the final album with singer John Arch, lead singer John Arch, and the first album with guitarist Frank Aresti. Came out June 1st, 1986. Now, before I get into that, I was going to mention, I might go over one or two other items that I've come across, just news items. But anyway, this is primarily about the Fate's Warning album. Here's my original CD. I think these are reissued. I don't know if it's 94. Just a standard Metal Blade. And then I end up picking up, I didn't show some of the stuff that I found earlier. I didn't show this version of Spectre Within, by the way, the remastered from sometime in the early 2000s, mid-2000s, I think, but then I got the remastered, and this is taking a beating. Plus, that includes the demos and stuff like that in the DVD of Awaken the Guardian, whatever it is, a triple disc. I remember when I got this, though, it was, I listened to it, and I felt like, that's cool artwork on that. I felt like I remember some of the reviews were not the most favorable, because they thought it was too reverby, and especially the live stuff sounded way too compressed. Now, the live stuff are just Jim's recordings, I guess, Jim Matheos, because he kept a lot of that stuff, but, so, yeah, you get, and this is the live one. See, of course, the DVD, and this is the mid-2000s, 2005. You can see the set list, which has Die Young. Interesting. That's on one of the tracks on Spotify, but it has a good blend of the first three records. Yeah, it's not like they played one record in entirety, not Awaken the Guardian, but I say I've got bootleg videos and stuff I bought at record shows and did some tape trading with. Yeah. I don't know where this is from or where this is like a mixture. Oh no, it's Sundance, Long Island, New York, December 28th, like just after Christmas in 1986. Where was I in Christmas 86? That would have been my 5th grade year. Yeah, so it would have been, I don't know. I was about to be in some plays. I didn't know anything about Fate's Warning or even Rush at that time. I was listening to Michael Jackson, Huey Lewis, and Duran Duran, and everything like that. So, and then I have, of course, a couple of vinyls. Now, I mean, it's kind of been said, not ad nauseum, but it's this album, Awaken the Guardian, it's beloved, and it's frankly pretty damn influential. I've got 2 copies of the vinyl. One of them, I don't know if this is a first pressing, but this is an older issue, I think. I'm looking at the year on this. Enigma Records. Let me just go through, and then I got this one. I remember I was looking for the Spectre Within. I already picked this up, and sometimes that happens where you're shopping for records and you don't, unless you track it, that's what your music is for, or Discogs is for, but you buy stuff a second time and don't realize you already had it, like I did with that Warpaint album about a year ago. Interesting. Fate's Warning, Awaken the Guardian. Progressive and intense metal with strong hooks and melodies in a conceptual setting that grows on the listener. The departure from most metal lyrically and musically, shedding a more positive outlook on life. Awaken the Guardian goes beyond the innate fear described on the band's last release, The Spectre Within, to the realization of a powerful force within ourselves. Maybe this, because it has that sticker, this might have been a first pressing. I don't know. An earlier pressing, certainly not, because the one I found, I remember, I think I got that at Zia Records, maybe in Arizona. It was on Enigma. I don't know, I have to go to Discogs to distinguish. It's in pretty decent shape. I don't see it. It doesn't look like it was played too many times. Maybe it was in the 90s, although, of course they weren't doing that. I don't know Portnoy, because they didn't still know Portnoy at this point. But June 1st, 86 is when it was released. You can see the pictures. It's a little more professional. You can tell there was more money. Frankly, yeah. I mean, there was more money. They had more of a budget. Not an enormous budget, but I think that between the Spectre Within, there was a jump in the budget. And so, even down to the artwork and everything. This is not a gatefold though, so. And then I'll pull up the other one, which I know is like an anniversary or like an anniversary issue, something like that. But this has got to be like a 2010 or 2000. Let's see. 2000. No, 2005 maybe. They did the reunion. I don't know. I mean, I got this maybe even more within the last 5. When they did that reunion and did the live album that they performed. This is Blue, yeah. It was at Prog Par USA. No, 2012. Yeah. Sometimes you can't read the print on this stuff, but. And one of my kitty cats is coming in. I hope they don't do a number on my collectibles. And this is not a gatefold either. But, yeah, the Blue repressing in 2012. So, all right, let me just get into it. Oh, there's an insert, too. One more thing about this release. Yeah, this is until they did this up. All the lyrics and everything. So, I like this album. I think I read a lot of praise for it initially and then just constantly over the years. How this was like a metal masterpiece, and like this is what Fates Warning initially got known for, and in some ways always has been known for this album. This is like this kind of cult classic. I have never embraced it and enjoyed it to the same level that a lot of hardcore fans. I do like a lot of the songs on it. I mean, my go-tos are probably Fate or Morgana, Guardian, which is a ballad. I listened to that. It is a ballad, but it's a long ballad, so it's not. That's kind of what they did. They did it with Quietus, and it's longer than that, I think, and some other songs. Kind of a slow. I know in the podcast, Jeff Wagner talked about how like Nothing to Say was like doom metal in some ways, doomy. Prelude to Ruin is probably my other go-to. Now, re-listening to it again yesterday. Giant's Lore and Exodus, and Time Long Past is a little instrumental. Those two also stand out. Giant's Lore, that has just a feel to it, that sort of epic feel to it. I think of Jack and the Beanstalk. I think of that and then this whole thing, this album in a lot of ways. I don't know why. I always get Jack and the Beanstalk, and then it came up again when I got into Fair to Midland and talking about in like the video for. Dance of the Manatee was like this giant, because it's a giant. I think of a giant. Of course, Pepe Deluxe actually talked about a giant and sort of a folklore kind of thing. It's kind of folklore, Giant's lore. The Sorceress and Valley of the Dolls have their moments, but I think a lot of people love those tracks. I just kind of they're fine for the sound of this album, but I've never been floored by them. Fate or Morgana I love just because it's super catchy, and it's always been about like it's not because it's another thing in mythology that John Arch or whoever wrote the lyrics, I think it was probably John, but it's like Medusa to me. It's like woman who can turn you to stone and have snakes in her hair, and she's very seductive, but then Guardian, it's a classic, well-written melodic song. The ending, though, gets very kind of... The tempo change, it's very progressive. It's more than just a ballad, as beautiful as a ballad as it is. And it's an earworm. You have it in your head. Those two songs especially. So when I think of this album, it's like those two tracks. Prelude to Ruin is more progressive. It's more time-changing. And talking about the woods or the forest is good for hunting. John Arch would just throw in some of these lyrics. I've never fully gotten invested into reading all of them, but he throws these weird lyrics that just sound a certain way. I think it's the forest is ripe for hunting. I can't remember, but like neutral vegetation, I know is on one of the tracks on Spectre Within. I want to say it might be Traveler in Time. Temper Tantrums. I mean, Guardian Angels. I know that he talks about something for hunting. Is I mean, what I love about John Arch more than his lyrics. His lyrics are peculiar, but the way he kind of adds little kind of chanting parts to the chorus that are melodic with these weird kind of tones and fantasy styles that bring you into that realm. But it's like, are you really singing that kind of stuff? And what does it really mean? It doesn't matter because it's sort of it's so weird. It's interesting. It stands out more, and it's not repulsive exactly because it sounds still melodic enough. Even though some of it sounds kind of ridiculous. It's almost like reading Tolkien or something like that. I mean, I'm surprised he's a Tolkien fan. I'm just looking at the credits. Yeah, Matheos and Arch co-wrote Prelude to Ruin. They co-wrote a lot of the lyrics on here. But, so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of summarizing it up. I don't know if I'll ever get more into this album, but I mean, the 3 Arch records kind of, they are their own thing. I mean, they're really, in some ways, a different band with John Arch, and a lot of style, the tone, the approach to sort of, and just, being in the 80s. Now, I will get into, hopefully, down the road here, and doing these series, the Arch Matheos and John Arch EP, which I guess in some ways is like a continuation because it is John Arch and he took that same style. Just he sounds much more modern. His voice, I'd say his voice sounds more mature. His voice just sounds. Yes, it didn't really. I mentioned the lineup. His voice sounds better. Maybe it's production too. I mean, you listen to this. Unfortunately, like if you got this to be remixed by like Steven Wilson, something, it'd be interesting to hear how much better it sounded. But I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't know if Steven Wilson... He's probably aware of Fate's Warning. He probably heard the name, but... So, yeah, I mean, it's a classic in a lot of ways. Like I said, I've failed to be, like, obsessed with it the way some people is. But some people are. Some of the fans are. But, I mean, it's not I don't find it completely overrated. I think it's about properly rated. But I think that... when comparing some albums in their catalog, it's not one I go back to as often. It's more of a mood record, but it's very well crafted, and it's kind of a swan song of this era with John Arch, at this point, after this album, wasn't to remain in the band. But it was also an interesting turn for the band because of the fact Victor Arduini had left and Frank Oresti had joined, and that Frank Oresti partnership with the band and with Jim Matheos specifically became their sound for many albums after this. So anyway, what's your take on Awaken the Guardian, 1986, the Fates Warning album, 1986? Do you find it clearly the best John Arch record of that early period? Do you think that they're kind of going off and not completely sort of being compared to like some of those other bands from that period that they sounded like somewhat like Iron Maiden and some of the new wave of British heavy metal bands, and I really think after the first record that kind of their styles became more distinct anyway. But yeah, if you listen to Night on Brocken and this, you can hear the progression. I mean, there's still the influences there, but it really took a couple more records before that sort of 80s metal sound started to kind of 80s metal, thrash metal, that kind of influence became less apparent and more just subtle. I don't say subtle exactly, but just not. They really were more definable as their sound. I find later than this. This has like sort of, that. I mean, is it like early power metal? I don't really think of power metal. It's a lot of fast playing. It's more intricate. It's not about speed necessarily. There's some fast playing, but it's more about sort of atmosphere and tone and stuff like that. But Anyway, but please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you for watching. Oh, and I want to, before I say goodbye, I wanted to bring up a couple more things. So, kind of related, one of their contemporaries, and the one time I was going to tell a concert story, I'm going to wait for it, I probably will. I have a concert story with Fates Warning, specifically with Jim Matheos, but Savatage, band who is kind of a contemporary, that they were from Florida, of course, they are reissuing or releasing two of my favorites. Now, this is the Zach Stevens Savatage. Because I saw Savatage in Fates Warning. Savatage was technically the headliner. I only got 45 minutes of the first time in 2001. I saw Fates Warning in St. Paul here, but they were co-headliners. But Savatage, interesting enough, of course they got more well-known the members for Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but I got into them when Zach Stevens was the lead singer, and I've always had a soft spot for the Zach Stevens period, and they've issued some of the vinyl records. I think they were out of Europe within the last 5, 6, 7 years. I have Awaken Magellan, and then I have Hollow Mountain King is kind of like Awaken the Guardian, it's like their 80s classic, and then I have, I want to say one other, but I still am missing, but the one record I've wanted for the longest time, I consider their masterpiece, even though it was under tragic circumstances, is almost like a duo record. Handful of Rain is being issued in a double-colored vinyl. It's coming out August 19th or something like that. August. I'm on it right. Yeah, August. That, and then Edge of Thorns, which is the first. The Handful of Rain was the second record with Zach Stevens on vocals. John Oliva, longtime singer, decided he wasn't able to really sing because he had kind of shot his voice with smoking and just not singing all that well from a health standpoint. So he basically was on the keyboards and it was following the death of Chris Oliva, his brother, the original guitarist and founding member, that Handful of Rain was released. And I think they had Alex Skolnick basically become a temporary member. I can't remember if he was on the Live in Japan CD they have, but Handful of Rain with an all-time classic, a favorite Savatage song called Chance. That record's coming out on August 19th, and then Edge of Thorns, the previous record with the first one with Zach Stevens, is also coming out, being issued. It's on savatagemerch.myshopify.com. I also tracked a couple of these down on Amazon. There's some other sites that have them, but anyway, Heavyweight to the Sun Yellow LP. That's for the Edge of Thorns. I can't remember what the Handful of Rain pre-order. They also have some merch that I don't have a Savatage shirt. I only saw them one time. But see, Dead Winter Dead. I can't remember if I've got that. I know I have Wake of Magellan. I think that's the only one I have. But yeah, it's blue. Looks like that's a picture disc or something like that. But I did save a little bit of money by going through Amazon. But I don't know. I may have to pick this up. I'm not sure this tie-dye really... They have a tie-dye t-shirt. $35. It's kind of interesting looking, but wouldn't be my first choice. There's a long sleeve. The problem with long sleeves, I could wear them. It's got some tour dates listed on it, too. This is from Dead Winter Dead, but without a zipper, I get hot in those long sleeves frequently, so I don't wear them very often. I don't have that many of them, so... They have some others on here, though, that might be worth looking at. Anyway, that came up. Another thing that came up, I forgot to mention yesterday, is interesting, completely shifting gears. The Orville looked like it was going to be canceled. There's only 2 episodes scheduled left. It's being picked up by Disney Plus, and it's moving the week after it's over. They may bring it on for a 4th season. Now, that's still up in the air, so I'll have to follow up on that at some point, or post something on social media, of course. But anyway, so that's about it for Awaken the Guardian and a couple other news items. Again, what's your take on Awaken the Guardian? Next up, chronologically, I'm doing No Exit, so probably not till next week, given my ability to and my work schedule. But thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.